الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا نبينا خاتم المرسلين أبو القاسم محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين عذب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أما بعد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم الحسن والحسين سيد أشباب أهل الجنة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. He is the first and the last, the most high and the most near, and he has perfect knowledge of all things. These are the verses of Surah Al-Hadid. It is Surah number 57, and this is verse number 3. And I wanted to begin with this particular surah because it's one of the surah that are called Al-Musabbihat. These are the surahs that start with the glorification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, I want to, before I finish talking today, something very exciting, something that we all need to make sure that we are signed in is a Quran class that Sister Homa just told me about yesterday. And I was so excited that somebody who is a great scholar, a great lady scholar, is going to be talking about the Surah Al-Musabbihat, and we have an opportunity to sign in starting from the 17th of Ramadan through the 27th, but I'm going to talk more about that. I wanted to begin today with congratulating everybody, giving my Mubarakbad to everybody on the birth of our Imam, our second Imam, Imam Hassan Mushtaba, who was born on the 15th of Ramadan, which is tomorrow. And today is Shab of that great day, a day of blessings, a day of joy, a day of peace. And so that's how I wanted to begin the talk today. Just wanted to share a few things and share my happiness with everybody here. And tomorrow is going to be the day that is going to be filled with blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our second Imam, he was, as I mentioned, he was born on the 15th of Ramadan. It is said that he was born in the night time. And the Prophet, when he heard about the birth of Imam Hassan, and of course Imam Hussain and Bibi Zainab and Bibi Kulsum, he was overjoyed. He was filled with so much joy. And he came to see his daughter. He took Imam Hassan in his arms and he thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this great blessing and the blessings that were to follow. It is said that he would thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he would say that the greatest blessing that he received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were the birth of Imam Hassan and Imam Hassan. He was overjoyed at their birth, and baby Fatima and our Maula Ali, they wanted the Prophet to give Imam Hassan his name, and the Prophet was waiting for Angel Jibreel, who brought this name. It is a special name that came from the heavens. It is a name that was never used before. Both Hassan and Hussein, these names were never used before. None of the Arabs had these names before, so these were special names granted to our second Imam and our third Imam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it was a moment of great joy for the Prophet. And then the Prophet, of course, we know that as Hassan started growing up, he took so much joy in their company. The Prophet, it didn't matter. Every day he would go, of course, he would go see his daughter. All through his life, he would go see his daughter every day. But especially after the birth of Hassan, he would go and visit Bibi Fatimatu Zahra, salamullahi alayha, every day. And he would be listening to the sounds of the baby Hassan and baby Hussein. When our Imam Hussein was born, he would be listening. His ears would be ready, like his ears would be perked up just trying to listen to the sounds of these babies. And then he would, whenever if he heard those sounds, even if he was like in the middle of his speech or a sermon at the mosque, he would pause because he wanted to listen to those sounds. Those are the sounds that gave him the greatest joy. If he heard their footsteps and they were coming inside the mosque when he was giving a sermon, he would get down from the pulpit, go and pick them up in his arms, and sit back on the pulpit and then continue on with his sermon. And we know we listen to so many lectures, we listen to so many Maulanas. We haven't seen any Maulana who does something like that. And here's our Prophet of Islam, the Prophet himself, who is giving this much regard to his grandsons. MashaAllah, Subhanallah. And then, of course, we know all the stories from their childhood that they would climb on his back when he was in sajda, and he would elongate that sajda until the time that they got off by themselves. They would be riding on his shoulders. He would be carrying them. He would play hide and seek with them. They would chase him and he would run, and people would be amazed because something that the Arabs had not seen before. They would be like, you would consider them to be very serious parents or grandparents, but nobody had seen, like a person like a prophet running around, and the kids, the little kids are chasing him, and he's laughing and he's running. This is how the prophet was with his grandsons. And of course, there are so many sayings of the prophet: whoever loves me loves Hassan, and the same with Imam Hassan. And then he would say, whoever loves Hassan loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever is in love with Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, Allah is in love with those people. So it is written down in so many narrations, both Sunni ahadith and of course Shia hadiths, that these were the sayings of the Prophet. And then the one that I said, Al Hassan wa Hussein, they are the ones who are the masters of the youth of paradise. And then of course the Prophet reminded everybody that everybody in paradise is going to be youthful. So there's going to be no old people in paradise. Everybody is going to be youthful. So they are the masters of everybody in paradise. Hasnan are the masters. So beautiful, beautiful ahadith by the Prophet. And now I just want to mention a few of the sayings, a few of the narrations from Imam Hassan. As he started growing up, one of the things that Allah had gifted the Holy Alibad is that power of speech. And so his speeches were beautiful. He would listen to the Prophet in the mosque. He would come back inside the house and recite everything to his mother. And she would be overjoyed at hearing it. And one more thing about the Prophet was every word that Hasnan uttered from their lips, he would praise those words. Everything that they said, he would praise that. And this is how they grew up. A lesson to all of us that when our little kids are growing up, we need to appreciate everything that they are saying and encourage them to speak and talk more. So he had beautiful speech that Allah has gifted the Holy Alibad with these beautiful speeches, the ability to deliver these speeches. Our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We know in the court of Yazid, he quotes one of this as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is given to the Holy Alibad, is that power of speech, that when they give speeches, even everything in the universe stops to listen to that speech. So he had that power of speech, and he had the greatest bravery. When we think about Imam Hassan, we don't think that about bravery. We don't think because in our minds, because he had signed that peace treaty with Muawiyah, we think, oh, Imam Hassan is somebody who did not like to fight. He did not go to wars. But that is something that is not right. Because if you look at Islamic history, just like Maula Ali was brave, Maula Ali was the bravest person both in the battlefield and outside the battlefield. The same thing was with Imam Hassan and, of course, Imam Hussein. They were the bravest. And his bravery, if we read Islamic history, we see that bravery in the Battle of Jamal, in the Battle of Siffin, Nahrawan. So we keep seeing the warrior that Imam Hassan was in those battlefields. He was the first and foremost, and he was the bravest warrior in those wars in the battlefield at that time. So he was very brave, and he was somebody who was very kind and gentle-hearted, just like all the Holy Alibad. But something that he is marked with, something that people remember and have written down, is the Dastarkhan of Imam Hassan. The Dastakhan of Imam Hassan was something special because we know from narrations we are going to commemorate the Shahadat of our first Imam, our Maula Mutakhiyan. We are going to do that soon in a few days. But we learn from those narrations that our Maula would be sitting there with his dry bread, trying to break the bread and soak it with some water and put it in his mouth. And one time there was a beggar who had come, and he was visiting town. He didn't know anybody. He found a Maula sitting and eating, so he thought he'll get some food. So he went and sat with Maula, and Maula, of course, offered him his roti, and he wasn't very excited to get that roti. So our Maula says, "Why don't you go to the Dastakhan? I'm going to give you the address. Just go there. There is always a table spread with food there, and you can go and you can eat with your till your stomach is full." So this person goes there to Imam Hassan's dastakhan that was always laid, that was always ready for people. Everybody could come and eat over there, and so he went over there, and then he ate his fill, and he started filling up his pockets with the food. And everybody was saying, "Why are you doing that? You can just come back and eat over here. You don't have to fill up your pockets with food." And he said, "Oh, I know this person who is eating this piece of very dry bread, and I want to take this food to him." And that's when he knew that this is the father of Imam Hassan, Imam Hassan, who was so very gracious. There are narrations that people, they would use abusive language, uh, especially if they came from the camp of Mawiyah, the cursed. And then our Imam Hassan would say, "I know you're a traveler. You probably are very tired. Come over here to my dastakhan, and you can eat and you can rest and relax, and then go back to your home." So this was the conduct of our Imam Hassan. He was known for his beautiful manners. And one saying that, as I was reading like speaking today, I was reading a little bit about his sayings. One saying is something that totally amazed me, because our Imam Hassan says that if you want to measure the intelligence of somebody, okay, so you want to, like how we want to see, oh, is somebody intelligent or they are not very intelligent? How do we tell if somebody is intelligent? We probably want to see how much they know of, like what's going on, like how much, like how do we measure intelligence of somebody? How do they respond to you? How their faces, how their eyes are? I don't know how we measure intelligence. But our Imam Hassan has a beautiful way of measuring intelligence. He says, if you want to measure the intellect of somebody, then take a look at their behavior and their manners. So somebody who has very beautiful manners, who has a beautiful conduct, is the one who is the most intelligent. So this is the measure of intelligence from our Imam Hassan, that the most intelligent are the ones who are going to be the most attentive to you, who are going to have those beautiful manners and the beautiful conduct. And of course, we know the Holy Alibad had the most beautiful manners. The most compassion, the most kindness, the most generosity was at their house, that they would not send anybody away empty handed. And inshallah, today or tomorrow, today we are getting ready for the special occasion tomorrow. We are not going to go empty handed. We can stand there at the door of the Holy Al Abad and ask them on this very special occasion of the birth of Imam Hassan, when the Prophet was so joyous, to give us what we need, something that we really want, something that we really need, and remembering to ask for everybody else first before we ask for ourselves. So inshallah, we will do that tomorrow. The other thing that I read about Imam Hassan is what he says about the Quran. So Imam Hassan, like he has this beautiful way of explaining things that really hits you, and you really get to see the bigger picture of what he's trying to say. So Imam Hassan says that reading the Quran is like receiving a letter from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isn't that just amazing? We not so right now, like it's not, the letters are not, we don't receive things with letters. We usually have text messages or emails. But just imagine that you have received a special email or a special letter from a president or a CEO of a company. How you're going to be so full of joy, and you're going to be, wow, like he's really honored me, he's thinking about me, he's written this beautiful letter to me. You are going to feel so special and so honored. Imagine receiving letters from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the CEO of everything. Everything in the universe belongs to him. Yusabbihu lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. So he is glorification to him who is the owner of the whole universe. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are receiving letters from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our Imam Hassan says that reading the Quran is like receiving letters from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he is trying to tell us something, and we need to gain that knowledge. So my dear friends, I mentioned about this program that is going to happen. I'm opening that communication from Sister Huma. She sent me a picture. It's called Online Quran Camp, and it is with Alima Razia Batul Najafi. I am sure most of us have listened to her lectures online. We have listened to her majlises during Muharram on YouTube. She is an amazing speaker, and she is an amazing scholar. With her knowledge and the way she speaks, we are going to gain so much knowledge. And so the program, it is you can email, you can call Sister Homa, you can email. The email is info@wilayattv.org, and you can go to Wilayat TV website and register for this camp. It's after you have completed those 10 days, we will get a certificate of completion from the Kausar College in Islamabad. And what she's going to cover is something that I kind of mentioned a tiny bit. It is the surah that are the al-musabbihat. These are the surahs that start with glorification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the one that I recited in the beginning was from Surah Hadid, and it was verse number 3. But Surah Hadid starts with sabbaha, glorification. And then there are 5 or 7, if you consider the other 2 surahs. It's 5 or 7 surahs that start with sabbaha or yusabbihu, the glorification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are Surah Hadid, Surah Hashr, Surah Saf, Surah Juma, and Surah Taghabun. So Hadid, Surah Hashr, Surah Saf, Al-Saf, they all start with sabbaha, sabbaha, sabbaha. Surah Juma, for those of us, I'm sure all of us recite Surah Juma on the day of Juma. It starts with Yusabihu. And then Suratul Taghabun also starts with Yusabihu. So these surahs are what is going to be covered. and these are special ones. There's a narration from our holy prophet that he, before he slept, he would recite these suratul musabbihat. Before he slept, he would recite these surahs. So these are very special surahs. The time of this program is from 5 p.m. It's Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. For us, I know 7 p.m. It's pretty close to the time that we have to break our fast, and but our fast time now it is almost like 7:35 or so. So we can get most of the class, at least, even if we run to do our prayer and come back to class, we will not miss too much of it. We can still participate in this great program. And it's only $12, which is just something that you are committing to. Like that money is there, which is nothing. That money is there to just make sure that we are participating in the program, and we have done our commitment to attend the program. So something that is going to be great, like the month of Ramadan is the month of the Quran. The month of Ramadan is the month when we take the special, find that special time to read the Quran. It is going to be just great that if we can just be online for this Quran camp, and from a great scholar that is going to be teaching us. So let's all make use of this special program that Vilayat TV has put together, and make use of it. But this journey with the Quran, when I started with learning Arabic grammar, and it was a journey. It was so beautiful, so logical. I did that for almost 2, 3 years, I think. And then I progressed to just learning how to recite Quran properly with all the tajweed rules. That took about a couple of years. And from that, I have graduated to memorizing the Quran. And I can tell you, it's an amazing journey. Just with memorizing the Quran, something that happens to you that doesn't happen even if you're reciting the Quran every day, or you're reading it, or learning, reading the translation, all of that is really, really good. But when you start memorizing the Quran, this is when the Quran is with you the whole time. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be, like cooking or cleaning or working. The Quran is running at the back of your mind always. And so right now I'm right at the beginning of this journey. I finished memorizing chapter 30 of the Quran. These are the smaller surahs. Um, and I'm working on chapter 29 now. But that, like when you start memorizing, it is something else happens. It's like the Quran is inside your head then. And so, what I would recommend also is that maybe after this camp, start with memorizing the Quran itself. And of course, it's great for our memory, like as we get older, we lose that memory. And what happens with reciting, memorizing the Quran is you will also not forget things, because your brain is working with memorizing. It's not something that's easy. Um, but as you start memorizing, things get easier and easier and easier. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees in the Holy Quran that you start that journey, He is going to make Quran easy for us. He's going to make Quran something that, we know even little kids memorize the whole Quran. So as we go on this journey, things are going to get easier and easier. It's going to be hard in the beginning, but not very hard as we go along. So I highly encourage all of us to participate in this great program. And as our Imam Hassan says, that when we read the Quran, it is like receiving letters from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is such a great thing that He has told us. So let's make use of that, the special program that is going to happen. And I just want to leave you with Mubarak Baat again. May you have the greatest day tomorrow. May we all make use of that special day, and and then receive lots and lots of blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Let's finish with reciting some du'as. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. 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 ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا رب زدني علما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد